My name is Jorge Neri. I'm the Associate Director for the Office of Public Engagement here at the White House. And I have the pleasure of introducing my boss, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, who is the Deputy Director of the Office of Public Engagement.
Thank you, Jorge, for that kind introduction. Jorge is a little bit humble. I want to take this opportunity to just really thank Jorge, thank Rafael Lopez, who's also with us today, Pedro Suarez, our whole team of interns and staff and support that have helped make today possible, as well as Rumana Ahmed, who serves over all of our Champions of Change programs here at the White House. So my job is easy. I get to welcome you all to the White House today. And we're really excited to have you all join us. And we're really excited to host today's Champions of Change event. This is our third year, I believe, doing the Cesar Chavez Champions of Change. And today is a little unique because we actually get to do it on Cesar Chavez Day, which is today, March 31st. So we are very excited to have you all. The Champions of Change program started in 2011, and it was really an opportunity for us to be able to honor and recognize everyday heroes that are doing extraordinary work in their communities. And it's really, exactly the work that each of our champions exemplified today. My grandfather, Cesar Chavez, used to tell us that the job of an organizer was to help ordinary people do extraordinary things. And that's really what our champions have spent their lifetime and their career doing. One of my favorite quotes of his, and those of you who I've known for a while, I see some friends in the audience, have probably heard me say this before, but one of my favorite quotes is a quote of his that says, "Once social change begins, it cannot be reversed. You cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride. And you cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore." Now, for me, it's such an important quote because it really does speak to the heart of what organizing and advocacy can do for our community. Working, tirelessly in our communities to ensure that everyone has a pathway to opportunity to be able to get ahead. And so that's why today's champions, I think, are particularly, fitting to really exemplify my grandfather's life and his work and his legacy and what that means to our communities today. So I'm going to go through our 10 champions, and then we're going to invite them up here to be able to hear directly from them about their life's work and why they've chosen each of the different career paths that they've had. And for the champions, when I call your name, if you could just please stand and be recognized briefly. So Nala Kayali serves as the founder and executive director for Access California Services in Anaheim, California. And Access Cal is a health and human services nonprofit, culturally and linguistically competent family resource center dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for underserved American, Arab American, and Muslim American communities. Next, we have Jermaine Castellanos, Program Director, SHINE, Educational Leadership Program. Now, as Program Director for SHINE, it's a workforce development program serving over 300 at-risk youth in Waukegan High School since 2008, where the student population is over 70% Latino. Next, we have Herb Lee, who's a native Hawaiian that has led multiple and highly successful youth leadership programs and helped to establish environmental education and cultural-based curricular projects, including the award-winning, and hopefully I will get the pronunciation right, Kahe Loko and the Aloha Aina projects. So thank you, Herb. Next, we have Javier Munoz, an AmeriCorps member here in the local area. And as AmeriCorps member, he serves with the Literacy Council of Northern Virginia and has been teaching English to adult immigrants and refugees in family literacy and beginning level ESOL classes since September 2012. Next, we have Helen Jim, who's community and education leader, whose work across different organizations. She's worked across different organizations supporting the right to quality public education for all children. case you haven't noticed, there's a theme amongst our first panelists in the sphere of education. Next, we have Luis Urrutia, who's an associate professor and program director for cultural studies at the University of Texas, Austin. I think I'm supposed to now say hook 'em horns. And coordinator of the Cultura en Acción, Culture in Action After School program. As a son of Mexican immigrants from rural Michoacan, his motivation for advocacy and work with communities stems from his family experiences dealing with the perceptions and oftentimes challenges facing immigrants today. Next, we have Keen Mai Aung, who is director of the Educational Equity Program at the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and I'm particularly excited that she's bringing the next generation along with her as we speak. As the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, they focus on or advocate on issues such as bilingual education, language access, and school discipline issues, among others. Next, we have Armando Chavez, who serves as principal of Columbus Elementary School. In Columbus, New Mexico, and the school serves a population in which 99% of students enter as monolingual Spanish language students, and most of this unique group were born in the United States and living in other areas of Mexico. Next, we have Sandra Gutierrez, who is the National Program Director of Abriendo Puertas, Opening Doors. And it's the nation's first evidence-based comprehensive training program for Latino parents with children aged 0 to 5. And last but not least, we have Diego Uriburu, who's originally from Argentina and who has promoted the rights of Latino immigrant and LGBT communities in Washington, D.C. area since he immigrated to the United States. In 1998, he co-founded Identity, Inc., a community-based organization in Montgomery County, Maryland, and serves as its executive director. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating our 10 Champions of Change once more. So now is the real exciting part. You all get to hear from them about their journey, about the reasons why they've taken on the important work that they do today, and what has really, given us the opportunity to recognize them and honor them as Cesar Chavez Champions of Change. But before I leave the stage and invite our first moderator to come up and lead our panel, I would be remiss if I didn't remind folks that today is March 31st, which is Chavez Day, but it also happens to be the last day of open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act. And so we want to make sure that if you have health insurance, that you are continuing to spread the word with friends and family and getting them to sign up for quality, affordable care today. We were very encouraged last week when we found out that over 6 million Americans have enrolled in the health insurance marketplace, and we know that that's 6 million and counting. And so as we honor and celebrate Cesar Chavez's legacy today, as we celebrate the great work of our 10 champions, let us also remember to ensure that we're doing everything that we can to use our voices to spread the word about the important access of quality, affordable care. So with that, I'm going to invite our first moderator up, who we are honored to have join us today, and it is Lisa Garcia-Quiros. She is the chair of the board for the Corporation for National and Community Service. So Lisa, I'll invite you to come up, as well as the champions that will be serving on today's first panel. Thank you all very much.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Garcia-Quiros, and I'm chair of the Corporation for National Community Service. And I know many of you in the audience know, but for those of you who are on the live stream, The Corporation for National Community Service is a federal agency that administers AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, and the Social Innovation Fund. The organization engages more than 5 million Americans in over 60,000 locations throughout the United States, and we engage them in service and in volunteerism. It's really an incredible feat, and in many ways, just I think a truly wonderful American program. In many ways, the spirit of service is something that is so deeply entrenched in this country, and that's why I'm so proud to really serve on the board of the Corporation for National Community Service. And I'm in awe of many of you who have devoted your entire lives to this, and I'm thrilled that we have members of the AmeriCorps family with us today. So I don't want to go, because Julie introduced each of you, but I do want to make a special mention, perhaps. What people didn't know about Jermaine, for example, is that he was an AmeriCorps Member of the Year. Is that correct, Jermaine? So I just wanted to make special note of that because I think that's important. I also wanted to be sure that we recognize that in the audience today are members of Virginia State Commission on National Service. You want to stand up and we can give you a warm round of applause. Thank you so much for your service. In addition, Xavier's mother and members of his organization, the Literacy Council, are here with us today. Is that also correct? You want to wave? And actually, I completely forgot when I mentioned that Jermaine was an AmeriCorps Member of the Year. I forgot to mention that he also started the first AmeriCorps dating service. His wife Christine was an AmeriCorps member as well, and his 2 children, Delilah, who's here in the audience, and I believe his wife Christine and Tomas stepped out for a moment, but we're glad to have Delilah here, and I suspect she's going to be an AmeriCorps member too. So, yeah, I'm excited. We're excited about that. We're ready to recruit her. So I want to start off with a simple question. I love the quote that Julie gave earlier about Cesar Chavez talking about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and certainly the thing that all 10 of you have in common today is exactly right. That when you read the bios, what's extraordinary about it is that you're all very accomplished individuals, but who decidedly took the road of service. And I want to start off with a question along those lines, and if you can just tell us a little bit on what was the moment or what was the experience that led you to really lead a life of service? And I want to start off with Herb. Herb, you've come all the way from Hawaii. You've traveled the farthest. I thought we'd start with you today. As we said earlier, he's the executive director of the Pacific American Foundation, and you've done extraordinary work with young people. So what was the moment for you?
Well, about 20 years ago, we started the restoration of an ancient Hawaiian fish pond. It's about 400 years old. And we were learning, and I got a call from a teacher. Her name was Sheila Syborn from a local high school called the Castle High School. She was a science teacher teaching at-risk children, 11 and 12th graders, and she said, you know, I'm not reaching them in the classroom. Can I bring them down to the fish pond and maybe teach them science in a different way? And when the kids first came down, the students first came down to the pond, they didn't want to be there. But we saw this amazing transformation in these students over the next 9 months. And we asked ourselves 3 questions. Can we duplicate this? Can we reach more students? And imagine if we could actually be able to expose them to a sort of a community classroom relevant experience in what they were learning younger. And imagine the kind of attitude that they would have towards community service, towards taking responsibility for their own learning, if they had that kind of motivation. Mm-hmm. And that was a turning point for us.
Great. Well, that's a great turning point to Jermaine, who also works with you. Jermaine, you want to tell us a little bit about what your moment was, what brought you to AmeriCorps and now to a life of service?
Mine is a little more of a personal story in that I dropped out of high school. Well, I was kicked out. I should tell the truth. I'm on national. Okay, so someone's gonna say something. Okay, so I was kicked out of high school. I tried to go back and was kicked out again. So I got a GED, and a couple years later, I hit rock bottom, and my daughter was born, and I thought of the world we live in, and I want to develop the world around her, right? To develop it into a better place. So I threw myself into service with AmeriCorps, and transformed my life from that into what it is today. And what that did to me was that helped me realize that that service can transform lives and repurpose them. And that's that's the message that I give to the young people that I work with, is that your life, I work with at-risk youth, I work with low-income youth, and that's my message, is that service can transform your life and your community by just one act at a time. And that's where, that's how we get started, and that's what truly changed my life, is that when I saw what happened in my life, I started telling other people about it, and getting them hooked on service. And as an AmeriCorps member, I was able to do that in my community.
Actually, I love that theme, Jermaine, the fact that giving actually transforms the individual and not just the community. I think that's an important point. Can you just tell us briefly, how did you connect with the AmeriCorps program? You mentioned that you dropped out of school twice, you got a GED, so what was the program that drew you in?
I was looking, I was a part of a workforce development program, and they put me on the youth council for the Lake County Workforce Development, Workforce Investment Board, and I kept seeing programs coming in and failing, and I said, what's so hard about it? And I, as a youth in a program, I said, I could do a program as a 20-year-old who was ambitious and naive, and I started going around talking to people. I worked a third shift job. I would get out of work in the morning at 7, take a shower, and I had a list of and change, and have a list of appointments, and I would go and I would pitch people my idea and say, hey, I want to start a program. And then I ran into the executive director of the Youth Conservation Corps in Waukegan, and he said, I can't help you write this grant because I'm writing the grant also, but I'll give you a job if you want one. So that's where I started, and my family thought I was crazy because I took a 50% pay cut to work for AmeriCorps as a youth developer, and that's how I got started.
That's great, thank you. Helen, I want to turn to you. You come to service in a slightly different way. You're board chair of the Asian Americans United, and you are also co-founder of Parents United for Public Education. Have been a huge vocal and engaged advocate for public education in Philadelphia. Can you tell us a little bit about what your moment was?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. About 15 years ago, there was a proposal to put a baseball stadium in the middle of Philadelphia Chinatown. And at the time, it was considered, to be economic development and progress for a rundown area of the city that had not shown itself to be visible enough, let's say. And what happened was that an enormous number of people from the Chinatown community and much farther beyond came together in a very multi-generational outpouring, including businesses, elders, young people. We engaged with multiracial communities to talk about the vibrancy of neighborhoods. We talked about the difference between economic development and progress, about things which are entertainment, not to say that it's not progress, but that there is also other forms of progress, not only defined by entertainment, sports, and other venues, but that there can be locally driven progress that's led by and driven by immigrant communities. We were successful in pushing off the stadium, made a big statement about $1 billion of public money going into private enterprises, and 5 years later built a school on that footprint of that stadium, serves many immigrant families in Philadelphia, celebrates the arts, and really made me feel like so much of our communities are, especially within the I feel like Asian American and immigrant communities are rendered invisible, that there's a lot of stereotypes and things that come up. Even for Cesar Chavez Day, the fact that Asian Americans and Filipinos in particular were a huge part of building strong alliances and communities within the United Farm Worker Movement, that's a very powerful thing. And so bringing voice to that, I feel like the same thing is with our Philadelphia public schools today, that parents and ordinary people, students, staff members, teachers, workers in the school district have really tried to come together to talk about what it means to have a vibrant public education system in a district where $1 billion has been dropped out. We've closed down 30 schools. We've lost 4,000 staff. We don't have counselors, nurses, and for the most part, librarians in our school. And this is a really powerful moment when ordinary people are standing up and saying that we have a collective responsibility to really stand by and fight for these public spaces and public goods that matter to us. And that's actually not something that will just be given. You actually have to stand up, raise your voice, and fight for that.
That's great. Thank you. Nala Kayali, Nala, you work with the Arab American and Muslim American communities in Orange County in California. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to serve that community? What was your moment of change?
I was born as a servant, and I've been helping the community even when I was young. But it came to me in 1998 on a personal story, and I had to go to a community clinic to get an immunization for my daughter, and it was the first time in my life getting into a community clinic and to receive services. I was kind of shy, and I thought everybody's looking at me, and my daughter is here actually taking pictures, Dina. And it did start with her when I got the CHIP program, enrolled in the CHIP program for Healthy Family in California. And when I saw the program was amazing, I felt my community are in need and my community are underserved to receive programs from the community. At the beginning, when I decided to start an organization, many people did not believe in my vision. And the stereotype that we have, we felt it's going to be a barrier to help our community. But it did not. Really, when I opened the door, the community started coming, and we felt, and they start opening up to me. It was a small office with a folding table and a chair, and they start coming and asking for more services. And the expansion and the dedications we put, where people are, when I start talking to them in my community, they start joining me. And it was always a team effort where we built our organizations from board members, staff, volunteers, family members, who they helped build this organization. It was a vision of mine, but now it's the vision of the whole community where they're coming. And we are proud to say that we are having collaborations with federal government programs. We do have the AmeriCorps program in our agency. We have contracts for the affordable health care. We have the USCIS. We have foundations. We have the county contracts. We have, to be honest with you, we did not feel any barriers where when we start asking for support, the community are supporting, whether from the government side or foundations or businesses or individuals. So even my family members are participating in every event. When they were young and now they're graduate and they work in the organizations, it's when you see the fruit of your work. And when you see immigrants, refugees receiving services and they're smiling, that is a payback.
And you do this in 15 languages, correct? I mean,
Yes.
This was extraordinary. They offer services in 15 languages. You have 30 staff people.
Right.
So I'd
And
like to think it's the
even-
AmeriCorps volunteers that each speak 15 languages.
Either even AmeriCorps members who they are from different ethnic background, different language, and we have everybody in our office. People, they walk into our office and they feel, oh, this is like a mall. We're going to the mall. Everybody, we see everybody here. So they feel they are connected with the community, and we help the individuals whatever way they like to receive services, and we really concentrate on the culture. We serve the community in their own culture and the way they like to be served. We don't give dignity to people. They were born with dignity. We help them maintain it.
That's great.
It's
And how long
that
have you
way.
been doing?
It's been 15 years.
15
We just
years, 15
celebrated
years.
15
That's
years.
Great.
The joy when we see them, praying for us. Even they bring food, they bring gift to the organization. And we always tell them, we don't get personal gift, but they always bring something for the staff and volunteers. And the joy of it, I'm an immigrant, uneducated, a mother, raised my kids as a single mom. It was hard. But when I see now the young generations who are graduating from big schools, coming back to us, and they want to join the organization, I always say, we are doing good
Yes,
work.
That's wonderful.
And I thank my family members, my daughters here, my sister, my board chair, my board member who started with me from the beginning. Thank you for coming all the way from Orange
Great.
County.
Well, we should recognize them. I didn't recognize them earlier.
They're
They're in
here.
the audience. They're here in the
They're
audience.
here,
That's
my
great.
daughters. And I thank the staff and volunteers who are right now in California at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're all teaming up in the room, watching
That's great.
today. And all our volunteers are there. They're having fun. Hello to everyone, and thank you for putting me in this position. This award is for my community. I dedicate it for my community. I dedicate it for God, who really gave me this inspiration.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Xavier, last but not least, this is an extraordinary story also. You're a biology graduate from Stanford University, and you graduated recently. You're in AmeriCorps currently, and you've been working with the Literacy Council of Northern Virginia. I know you have friends and colleagues that are here today also in the audience. But tell us a little bit about what brought you to AmeriCorps and what's been the transformational moment for you to decide to do this with your life right now?
Yes, thank you. And of course, it's an honor to be a Cesar Chavez Champion of Change. I'm also going to share a little bit of my personal story. I did graduate from Stanford University, but in the final years of my education there, I found it very difficult academically. I struggled with anxiety and had to actually extend because I wasn't succeeding in academics. And after that, for the next year and a half, I was dragged forward with the questions of what should I do, what ought I to be doing. Both of my parents are immigrants. They worked incredibly hard to support me and my brother to give us the opportunities and choices to make a better lives for ourselves. And I was given this great education, and yet I was struggling to find what to do. In Tampa, Florida, the ICANN Community Education Coalition, I started as an adult basic literacy tutor. I was helping a man from Jamaica learn to read. After every session, which was twice a week, I came home with questions of not what should I be doing, but instead, how can I help him? This is what we did in today's tutoring session. How can I make it better for next time? Realizing that I had so much more to learn in adult education to become a better teacher, to help him, it kind of pushed me forward, and then I joined AmeriCorps service with the Literacy Council of Northern Virginia. They've been around for 50 plus years. They serve more than 1,500 learners every year. I thought this is an amazing opportunity, intensive experience with AmeriCorps to pursue this budding interest that I was having. With the Literacy Council, I teach family literacy and beginning level English classes. The majority of our learners are immigrants, and over 40% of them don't have a high school education. Some of them were high-skilled workers in their countries, doctors and engineers, but are here unemployed or maybe work as custodians. Many of them have only been here for a few years, decades, or they've been only here for a week before they come register for our classes. But when I look at them in class, their drive, it's energizing, it's motivating. When I see how the English language can empower them to improve their lives, to be better participants in their communities, in their families, I mean, what's better than that? You know, for me, before I never considered community service as something to do. I recognized the value, but especially in college, I thought I need to focus on academics. I'm struggling in this. How can I spend time helping others? And yet, it's because of AmeriCorps service that now I can move forward with a direction for my future and move forward with purpose for those that I serve.
Thank you so much, Xavier. I appreciate that. I want to ask a question, just listening to all of you. Each of you, in every way, talked about the importance of cultural competence and the connection to community and really understanding community in helping to affect change. Helen, I want to go to you for a second because the example you gave is an extraordinary example of that. Can you talk a little bit about that, about how you had the unique opportunity to work within the Asian community to really affect substantial change and maybe what the secret sauce, so to speak, was in that work?
No secret sauce. A lot of hard work, grit, and other things. You know, I think we try to think a lot about what culture means. And I think that there are some strange things about how people tend to view culture, especially when we talk about education, tends to take a very heroes and holidays kind of approach. But to me, culture really means a lot about inviting kids' lives into your school, into your community, to hear from them what is meaningful. And so a lot of our work is about building up the cultural strength and ethnic pride within our communities. And at the school that we founded, we make space for ritual practice. We make space to invite our elders in. We make space to talk about history and meaningful cultural exchanges. And a young girl whose mother was in a step crew who's now taking a step ensemble at our school. And students who were, trying to find their way around how to feel good about their Chinese culture, taking kung fu and martial arts classes at the school, and that we see culture as a place of strength, but we also think about it as a place of controversy. And I don't know that if you don't know about what's happening or what has happened in Tucson, Arizona, about the Mexican American Studies program there, and the kind of crushing down of diversity and cultural practice, it is threatening, and I think it's also very powerful. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that we want to build up the strength of our communities to understand that there will be struggle in this. We need to pass down traditions of struggle to our young people so that they understand how to work together within broad communities for this. We need to make space for language minorities. And we also have to realize that we won't always make friends in this, and that sometimes this comes with a little bit of opposition around it. And that the fight for making and creating space, whether it's within our communities for culture and knowledge, whether it's within our public schools to bring in authentic voices of young people, to help talk to them about how you do meaningful community building. We actually grow our academic skills, and we raise up young people who are proud of who they are and what they have to give, and that they can go out there and change the world. Those are difficult and challenging things to have, and we need to fight for those at all times.
Great. Thank you. Herb, you also work with the community in Hawaii, with the Native Hawaiian community, and have started a number of culture-based programs for youth and for families. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Yes. In Hawaii, we live on an island, obviously, with finite resources. And what we found is that, the children were losing the connection to place and understanding the relevance of what they were learning in the 4 core areas of math, science, language, arts, social studies. So for us, it was a matter of trying to help reconnect them to place. It was a matter of extending opportunities to build relationships among students, place, the family, and the context of communities. So in looking at trying to reimagine education in the 21st century, in the context of Hawaiian culture as sort of the host culture and foundation for learning in Hawaii, relationships, relevance, and the combination with that with rigor was very, very important. And relationship came first. To be able to understand that the teacher in the classroom cared about the student and cared about making the relevancy, meaning the culture, helping to make the cultural connection to the students so that they could really understand how they could apply that to their everyday living. There is a very wise saying, we call it in Hawaii, Anolelo no Eao, from Mary Kavena Pukui, and it goes something like this: "A'ohe pau ka ike I ka halau ho'okahi." Not all knowledge is learned in one school. And that was
Love
really
that.
a
That's
profound
great.
thing for us, and that has helped us to guide where we wanted to go. And that we have to be humble always, that we can play a dual role of being both a teacher as well as a learner. So in the midst of teaching, one is a learner. In the midst of learning, one is a teacher. To always have that humble heart, to know that, not all knowledge does come from one place. And so to the extent that we can help make those connections again, we can foster and instill and inspire in our students that light, that energy, to be able to be the best that they can be.
I love that quote. I hope somebody is tweeting it.
Yeah.
Jermaine, before I open it up for questions, I just, I couldn't help but hear your story and think of the president's new initiative on My Brother's Keeper, and the work that they're going to be doing over the next few weeks. Actually, I think Jonathan is here in the audience, and I don't want to misspeak on this, but really focused on young men and how to engage them and to do something about the terrible dropout rate and some of the great challenges that young men are facing today. So if you could offer the president and that commission some advice. You've got the mic right now, so I thought before we open it up to questions, it's just such a great story. You probably have some terrific insights about that.
Well, the community that I currently serve is Waukegan, Illinois. The high school demographics is 70% Latino, 20% African American, and I see the firsthand. I work with seniors and recent high school graduates, and I see the students. The Latinas and African American women are going to college way more than the Latinos and African American males, and what the students are saying is that they want opportunities. They want more opportunities, and if that means President Obama getting some more money on the ground for grassroots programming that provides a service-based training opportunity like Youth Build USA, AmeriCorps, are programs that I've seen that are successful, that I've taken notes from and have applied in my program. Workforce development pays back. It's an investment in our country. It's not a handout. It's not a program that's you're not just giving money away. It's an investment that goes back to our country, that gets reinvested, and it gives people training. It gives people jobs. It gives people dignity that have lost it, and strengthens the dignity that people already do have. And helping people get jobs and serve their community is what I believe the United States of America is all about. And when my parents came in the late 70s to the United States, they had the gleam of the American dream in their eye, and I try to use that spirit to help me continue on in serving my community and my country. So if there's any message to the president and the council, that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
So I thought I would open it up to questions from the audience, and then I'll close with one last question for, yes. Oh, we need a mic because we're live streaming, so.
Hi, thank you so much. What a wonderful morning. I'm Mary Bruce, the co-director of AmeriCorps Alums, and I'm joined by Lizzie Martinez on our DC chapter. And so excited to have such an AmeriCorps presence on the board. Wondering for Lisa, Nala, and Jermaine and Xavier, the AmeriCorps family, how do we support more Jermaines? How do we help continue that life of service and support the whole alumni, the network, to help grow more champions of change like you, build that lifetime of service?
I think creating opportunities for people to continue to serve. There's service at different levels. If we can create more levels that people can aspire to, I think that's developing an alumni network and helping them, just creating more opportunities. So.
Yeah, actually, I'd like, Nala, for you to address that too, because you actually have a number of AmeriCorps volunteers. You mentioned that earlier. Can you tell us a little bit about engaging them, the kind of work that they do, and?
Well, to the immigrant community and to the refugee community, they're really not aware of the AmeriCorps program. We did bring this program to give them the opportunity. And 90% of our AmeriCorps members are now employees at Access. Clients, when they come to receive services, they love the environment, they love the way we provide services, and they always ask us if there's any opportunity. And with our programs, the refugee program, we always engage the community of giving back to the community, and that's one of the highlights in our program. Every month we do have a project that we give back to the community, so we do engage immigrants and refugees in different projects. And then they ask us if there's any opportunity at our office. And we always tell them about the AmeriCorps members, and we always have a list of clients who wants to join the AmeriCorps program, because it is an opportunity. They give them a chance to see what America is, and we always tell them, if you don't do it in this country, you don't do it anywhere in the world. So this is the great land. This is the land of opportunity, and this is how we give back. So they are really engaged in giving back to the community.
I think I've been told I have time for one more question. So there's a young woman over here, if someone can get her the mic.
Buenos días.
Buenos dias.
Thank you so much for your service, for everything that you're doing in the community. Helen, thank you for the collaborative, collective work, which is so critical. And Jermaine, when you referenced the young people and you were answering the question about President Obama, what we could do as it relates to young men, I just wanted to share that I went to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And the demographics of the university population have changed significantly since I graduated. And so it is within that call of action that we turn back to our community partners and we let them know, what are you doing to support our young people? Because that's kind of where the issue is. It has to come from the universities, it has to come from the schools, and we need to hold each other accountable to, are we truly supporting the young people we say we're supposed to be supporting? So I just wanted to honor everyone for your service, and I guess my question is, what are we doing for the young girls? Because everyone is talking about boys, and I am my brother's keeper. But the reality is young girls of color, Latinas and African Americans, are the #1 rising population of young girls in prison right now. So if anyone wants to speak to that.
If I could be the first to respond to that one, I think when we think about helping the youth in our country, one of the important things to consider is who they come home to. That there's parents involved in this. There's a family education, family learning that goes on. In Fairfax County in Virginia, for example, more than 30% of the county is foreign-born. And in this past year, 50% of the kindergartners go home to a family where they don't speak English, or English is an additional language. You know, the Literacy Council of Northern Virginia serves adult immigrants, but in our family learning programs and through our regular English classes, by assisting immigrants to improve their English education so as to be on the pathway to citizenship and jobs and career advancement, we're really helping families as well. And I think that's an important thing to remember, is that it's a family effort in addition to a community one.
you know, in Philadelphia, we have, of our young people, we have 39% of our children are in poverty. That is a massive situation for us, and it's a widening inequity that's happening, and it impacts young girls especially, many of whom have to carry a lot of weight. They have to manage a lot of household duties, they have to manage their families, they have to manage schoolwork, they have to manage jobs, and all sorts of other things. And so when we see a complete bottoming out of public education funding, that is a very serious issue, and that is happening in cities all across the country. It's impacting Latina, African American, immigrant families in particular, including many Asian immigrants and refugees, and that is a very, very serious issue. And there aren't enough voices that are really talking about what's happening with our schools. In Philadelphia in particular, we closed 30 public schools. Many of them hit African American, Latino neighborhoods, forced 7,000 children to cross into neighborhoods, and they don't go there on a shiny bus. They walk as far as 1.4 miles. And that movement and transfer and instability already going on in lives that we are trying to stabilize, it has got to be something that we need to think about. And then the other thing is, it's really about, you know, we have to think about what is happening with testing and the high stakes testing that is really undoing a lot of the power of curriculum to reach out, to bring meaning into young people's classroom, to bring in culture and language. We're down to 5. We used to be a leader in Philadelphia around multicultural bilingual ed. We're down to 5 bilingual Spanish programs in the entire school district of Philadelphia with over 200 schools, and a huge percentage of students who are, we used to have Hmong, Vietnamese, Mandarin, and plenty more, and we had whole Spanish high schools. So the cost that we're exchanging between what's happening with curriculum and certain identified types of rigor versus how we are impacting young communities of color, young girls especially, boys as well, but our children overall, really needs to be rethought. We need to hold, the communities are actually calling out to hold our districts and our leaders accountable for that, and we need to see some change.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you. It is so inspiring to spend the morning with you today, and I can't thank you enough. And Herb coming all the way from Hawaii, who I think came the furthest from anyone here and came to the cold, but Nala from California, Jermaine from Illinois, Herb from Hawaii, Helen, thank you for coming from Philadelphia, and Xavier, we're very excited about your future and all that you're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you.